The example that we're going to be looking at today is a customer satisfaction and retention agent. The goal of this agent is to help the marketing and sales team monitor customer satisfaction for a manufacturer, for an e-commerce, and apply retention strategies as needed. Essentially, creating a personalized email outreach if a customer is at risk of churn, providing, for example, a little compensation so that hopefully the customer doesn't churn. To do that, we're going to be having some tools. These tools, I list here some, are a language detector, are a sentiment analyzer, are a churn predictor, but also a retention email writer. As you can see from the screenshots here, the top one is a churn predictor tool that you can see uses a random forest model to predict the risk of churn. On the lower part, on the other hand, you have a sentiment analyzer tool that uses AI. So this is an intelligent tool that uses AI, so in this case, specifically GPT-4o Mini, to predict the sentiment of customer reviews. The output is a personalized email outreach that contains some little gift, a little compensation based on the customer purchases. So it's a personalized type of gift, and also some internal PDF reporting to understand what customers are more likely to churn. Now, with this being said, I'd like to move to Knime Analytics platform, and I would like to navigate you to the components that we see here in this agent, in customer satisfaction and retention agent. So this is what you saw already on the slide, but I want to go step by step. Okay, so let's start from the very top part, top left corner. The initial part here, you may already be familiar if you worked with Knime and Gen AI. So what we do, we simply provide our credentials in this case, to OpenAI. We authenticate to OpenAI, and we pick a model that we like. In this case, we are working with GPT-4o, sorry. So in this way, we have established a connection to the LLM of choice. Next, and that's the most probably interesting part, is to list the tools that we have available for this agent. So we use this node to list all the tools that we have in our folder. And you can see in this part of my screen, on the left-hand side, you see here my folder tools with all the tools that I have available. I will come back to this. With the node, workflow to tool node, we can provide the path of the tools. And also, let me make it a bit bigger maybe so that you can see also the interface a bit better. So we provide the path that contains, the path to the tools, and transform this workflow into tools and provide it to the node. Okay, moving down, we are providing some data to the agent. This already tells us that this is a data-aware agent, where we provide the agent with two different types of information. The first one is a table. I can make it a little bit bigger now. Okay, where we have customer IDs, customer names, and some reviews about the product, and the date of the review. So these are just essentially customer reviews about our product. In the other part, in the other, let's say, data table, we have a much bigger table. You can also make it bigger so you can hopefully see better, where for each customer, we have their email, but we also see information about the product that they bought, the feature of the product that they bought, and the purchase date, and most importantly, the product that is often bought together. So, for example, for a wireless ergonomic mouse, the typical product that is bought together is a mouse pad. Okay, so those are sort of our purchase history for each customer in our database. Now, we can provide all this information to the agent. How can we do this? Essentially, we just connect the output port of this node to the agent. But I want to show you how the agent prompter looks like once you look for it on the node repository and drag and drop it. You see, when you drag and drop it from scratch, you only have a connection to the model, you have a connection to the tools, and here you can decide to add as many data inputs that you want, but also, so for example this, but also output as many tables that you wish. And this output tables will correspond essentially to the output produced by the tools. Okay. So you see here we have many output. Okay, how do we now go about this agent? So if I click on it, we have a few configurations to take care of. For this specific example, the system message I'm using is essentially the one that comes by default with the node. So I didn't modify anything. And what this default system message says is essentially explaining how to use the tool, that we would like the agent to plan the actions, and so on. What is very interesting and what I provided as an information is the user message. You can think of it as a little prompt that we provide to the agent. Here I'm explaining to the agent what role it has that is going to be helpful in assisting a marketing and sales team to help the customer retention strategy. And I'm explaining what I expect the agent to do. Now, I'm also explaining that the agent is provided with a data set that contains customer reviews and another one that contains customer purchase history. Then, once I am happy with, let's say, the user message, the prompt, where I communicate the task to the agent, very important is to provide a tool column. So the tool column, remember, comes from here, from this workflow tool that creates, let me open again, they create this tool column. I can make it bigger so maybe you can see better, where each workflow now has become a tool. So I provide this information here. And I also have some advanced setting, which I have enabled in this case. And those are very, very interesting. And especially when you're developing, I think this is extremely useful. The one that I like the most is this debug mode activated. What this debug mode does, it allows to see each tools being called during the execution of the node. So you can actually kind of inspect the tool as it's being executed and called. Okay. So what I would like to show you now, and then we will do some experiments with this one, which is probably a bit more interesting, is what the output of this node is. If I go to if I inspect the first output table, you can see I have the full conversation. And what has happened? We have a lot of information here where you can see here my message. So this is the user information. So what I've asked the agent to do. And after that, you see all the tools being called. So you can see the first tools being called are a sentiment analyzer and a language detector. And this seems to me quite meaningful, because we want to predict essentially the sentiment of the customer reviews and the language in which those reviews were written. So that we can assess whether it's likely for the customer to churn. And if it's likely to churn, then maybe we want to reach out to this customer. And we also see that the agent produces also a little reasoning, right? So this is you see AI is expressing this or filling this information, this cell. You see we have a lot of information where the agent is kind of outlining the steps that it's going to take to address the task. So I'm trying to expand it to the maximum so we can see it. Okay. So the first point is to identify the sentiment of the customer reviews, to detect the language. After that, we want to predict the risk of churn. And then if for customers for which we have a high chance of churn, we want to select a personalized gift. And finally, produce a customized email so that we can reach out to them. Now, this is what the conversation output is. So the first output table. Typically, the last output table is containing the output of the latest or the last tool that is being used. So it means that the intermediate tables are providing the output of the intermediate tools. And so if you are now following on this train of thoughts, you would expect the last output to contain the emails for customers that we want to reach out to, so that we can hopefully retain them and prevent churn. And that's exactly what this last output table provides us. So I have created a little component here where we can provide credentials. For this example, I provided my own Gmail. Obviously you cannot see the credentials, but you can see how this will look like. And I can then inspect the email that is being composed by AI and the email address of the person that I would like to send this to. I can maybe make it a little bigger, so hopefully it's easier to read. Okay. And how this would work, so I would essentially flip through these different emails. So I can see that the second one is in English. The third one is also in English. We have one in Spanish because the customer review was detected to be in Spanish, and another one in French. And it's interesting to see, if I pick, for example, the first one, how the email is being constructed by thanking the customer for leaving a review about the high-speed blender. But also in the bottom section here, we have information about, as a token of appreciation for your feedback and because you're a valued customer, we would like to offer a blender bottle, let's say, as a token of goodwill. So if I now would, let's say, select the email and then click send, I can then send the actual email. And now I should, in short, see a message confirming that the email has been sent. Yeah, email been sent successfully. Let's see if I can show you a second. Yes. Yeah, okay, let me show you. Yeah, so obviously this is just obviously a fake email. So obviously I get also the mail delivery subsystem, but you can see that the emails now has been sent to this Harry Adams with exact content that I show you just now. We also can see here in the upper part also how the tool call history has been proceeded. So this is a little bit like the view that we saw in the conversation, but with a little bit of a nicer visualization of it, so that we have for each tool being called. So we have the sequence of tool being called. But it's not very different from the conversation table that we saw here. Now, what is interesting as well is that we have intermediate output that have been produced by the tools. And for that, we have, as you can see here, we have the customer ID with the language being detected by the tool, the customer ID with the sentiment prediction. Let me try to make it bigger so you can hopefully see it. So this is the second output table, and so on. We can then collect all this output table, and we can essentially do something that is that is not new for Knime user especially. So you can combine this information and create a little report that I want to show you here. So for example, we can now see that amongst the people that are likely to churn, those that use a computer are a higher number with respect to those that use a mobile phone, for example. And so here you have a little bit of a breakdown of information. Something simple, something that you can then write as a PDF. Okay. So, but how have we been able to do all this? I mentioned a few times the word tool, and I also show you that these tools are being accessed here. If I show you this table, you can also see, if I go here in the preview, some information about this tool. You see we have a description, but we also have information about inputs and outputs. And this tool are stored, if you can see my left-hand side, in a folder called tools. Now here I have many, I have 9 different tools. And some are more complex, for example, a churn predictor or a sentiment analyzer, and some a little bit simpler, for example, a row filter tool. Now, typically, if you've been building Knime workflows for a while, you might already have some workflow. So you don't need to always start from scratch. You might just simply want to reuse something that you already built and transform it into a tool. And that's what I would like to show you now. So I go here to other existing workflow, let's say, and let's start from a very simple one, a language detector.